Good evening, everyone. This is the third episode of the KBJ Podcast. I've got Case here with me, Jordan in the top right. I'm going to go over a few things today. It's been a crazy week in sports for sure. We've seen a lot of crazy things happen, so let's dive into it. Start off with the Wisconsin and LSU game. Collier, I'll let you start it off hot on this one.
I think even though LSU won the game, it does look a little embarrassing for them to almost lose the game to Wisconsin. Came down to the very end there. That sophomore quarterback they got, Garrett, he played pretty well, to be fair, with Jaden Daniels not playing, obviously. He had like almost 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, somewhere along those lines. I think based off that game, they really got to get rid of Brian Kelly. He's got to go. He's not cut out for it. He wasn't good at Notre Dame. He can never get it done in the big time games. And almost losing to Wisconsin, one of the bottom of the barrel Big Ten teams, in my opinion. I think you got to get rid of Brian Kelly. And I know you don't have Jaden Daniels, but that Garrett kid played just as good as Jaden Daniels would have played. So I think Brian Kelly's got to go. LSU needs to start looking for new head coaches.
Case, how you feeling on it?
Well, I wasn't able to watch the game, but I do agree with Kelly. When it comes to big time games, he's about like me in bed. Just a big old disappointment. I think he should go back coaching fucking high school football.
I agree, man. The thing with Brian Kelly is he always had Notre Dame ranked high. When it came time to win the big games, he never showed up. I get Jaden Daniels wasn't there. I get that you're Heisman QB, going to be an NFL star more than likely. But if you can't win with your backup quarterback, who's going to be your starter next year against Wisconsin, then you're sure the hell not going to be able to beat half the teams in the SEC.
Wisconsin was what, 7-6?
Yeah, they were not good.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
What impressed me the most, though, is Neighbors played, and that wasn't even that quarterback's number one option. I think he finished the game with like 30 yards or something.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. If he struggles with Wisconsin, he's got a rude awakening with some of the SEC teams next year.
Yeah, a 35-31 victory is not impressive to me.
Especially with Jimbo out at Texas A&M. I look for Texas A&M to show back up on the map next year. So we'll go over a little bit of the Iowa-Tennessee game. Obviously we know how I'm feeling about it. I watched it the whole time. I don't even think I got up to use the bathroom. I was so intrigued with it. So, Collier, let's hear your thoughts on that one.
I mean, is there anything even to talk about with Iowa? That was one of the most embarrassing displays of football that I've ever. They had a total of maybe 100 yards. I don't even know if they got that. I mean, and their defense, all I heard all week leading up to that game with announcers and analysts, Iowa's defense will hold this Nico kid to 14 points. He'll really show that this kid ain't worth $8 million. Yeah, they fucking sucked. They were terrible. They got dog walked by a freshman quarterback that's played, 10 snaps all season?
This is his third game playing, and he's played in like the fourth quarter all games.
He had, 3 rushing touchdowns. He threw for 1.
Mm-hmm.
I know he didn't put up like crazy stats, but the dude was just obsessed with the end zone. And Dylan Sampson, he's going to be a unit. He ran all over Iowa's defense. I don't remember exactly how many yards he had.
It was well over 100.
130 something.
Yeah.
It was like 130 something.
It was well over 100.
I mean, ran all over them. For a team that supposedly had a top 5 defense, it did not look like a top 5 defense. That looked like Oregon was out there. That was Oregon's defense. It's like they traded. Embarrassing. Get out of here. I mean, that was rough. That was rough.
Yeah.
And if that's what Nico's going to play like for the future, like I said, number 1 overall pick, future Heisman, absolute unit. He's got the exact physique you want and a prototype quarterback, and he can move. I mean, 3 touchdowns talks for itself. So
Yeah.
But embarrassing. Iowa should have never even stepped on the field. Honestly, I don't even know if they were on the field. Their starting running back had like negative 20 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Something stupid like that.
How you feeling on the case?
Um, considering it was Nico's first full game, not coming in fourth quarter, and it's a bowl game as well, he showed the fuck up. He told Iowa, "I'm your fucking daddy,"
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm excited to see the future of Tennessee.
Yeah,
And I've never said that because I fucking hate Tennessee.
I think we'll be making our way to Knoxville a few times next year. Yeah.
I mean,
Without a doubt.
it's crazy. I'm West Virginia fan. Last time West Virginia and Tennessee played, beat the dog piss out of y'all. So
Yeah, man, dude.
it got me singing Rocky Top, man. I'm telling you, it's electric out
It's a
there.
different atmosphere.
Swirl White. I mean, that dude. He's probably going to be a future.
Yeah. The problem with Squirrels, they're trying to run him at a wide receiver one right now. They need to slot him sort of like a Tyreek Hill or something because the man's got breakaway speed.
I was actually going to ask that. Is he a true wide receiver one,
We'll
or
see.
is he more of a
With
slot?
Brew hurt and Dante Thornton hurt, that was your two big guys. So, they put Squirrel in that role, and then they got Nimrod out there and a couple others. And it just don't work for Squirrel. You can't throw a 5'10" dude out there who runs a sub 440, 40-yard dash and expect him to play that role that a Brew McCoy or somebody could do. But Brew announced maybe 20 minutes before we started this stream that he is returning to Knoxville next year. I'm excited about that. He's a big-time player. Dante Thornton will be back next year, the transfer from Oregon. He's had his ups and downs. Ramel Keaton, he's finally going to the NFL. I can't wait for that because he's not going to get drafted. He's going to be fucking bagging groceries or selling cars like me. Hopefully his New Year's resolution was to catch the fucking football because he's not done it all year.
Well, your quarterback ain't gonna be drafted either, so.
Squirrel's only a sophomore, right?
I think Squirrel's a junior. Dylan Sampson's a sophomore.
I know Dylan Sampson's a
Yeah.
sophomore.
No, Squirrel. Yeah, you're right. Squirrel is a sophomore. Yeah, he'll be a junior
Sophomore.
next year.
Dude, Sampson and Squirrel with Nico, that's going to be a combination.
A lot of really good potential.
Samson, absolutely. I mean, Iowa had a top 5 rushing defense.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have thought it was Samson. And
especially the Big Ten.
I know you talked last episode, you talked about Samson. You don't know if he could be a running back one. He's still too young, needs to develop. He fucking developed.
Yeah. And fun fact, we put up more points on them with all the people opting out than Michigan put up against them in the Big Ten championship.
I just think
that's something to look at.
That right there should make you happy. Milton's going into the draft. Man. Get him out of there, Nico. It's Nico time. And anyone that thinks Manning's going to be, no, Nico is the best.
Arch ain't coming to Knoxville. He knows better. He ain't getting no NIL money. He's either staying put or finding somewhere else. Arch ain't coming. What are we thinking on the Liberty and Oregon game? Myself, I took an alternate spread, man. I took Liberty plus 24.5. I really thought they could keep it close. Bo Nix showed up. All week I heard Bo Nix is opting out. Bo Nix is opting out. Then I turn on the game and out walks Bo Nix and says, I'm ready to fuck your bitch. And he came and did just that.
That's another one where it was Liberty even on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Liberty. Everybody could have probably guessed that Liberty was going to get the dog piss beat out of them, but
I wanted to see them win just for the sake of it.
6.
Yeah.
They got slammed. Bo Nix, does he solidify a first-round overall pick? He had 360 yards, 5 touchdowns.
I think he
does. Absolutely nuts. I mean, he capped it off with a superstar game.
Yeah.
Done it all year. Another one was Bucky Irving. 14 carries, 117 yards, and a touchdown. Absolutely obliterated Liberty's defense. Liberty couldn't put up points on a terrible Oregon defense. I mean, Oregon has probably the worst defense in the pack. And they just absolutely it was like they were just on the field by themselves.
How you feeling on that one, Case?
I think this has helped Bo Nix's draft stock tremendously.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, he could be a potential number 1 overall. Or I could see it definitely being the top 5. Maybe not a number 1 because Chicago is going to be having the number 1.
I'll be surprised if Chicago goes quarterback number one.
I really just think, like, after seeing some of these bowl games, that Caleb Williams, he might not be the number one quarterback off the board.
I think
I
Caleb
think he,
Williams hurt himself not playing in the bowl game.
It,
I
very
think he,
much.
I think that prima donna little bitch is gonna be a bust.
Him
I
not
think
playing in the bowl game let all these other guys shine who could potentially take his spot.
Yeah.
I mean, this season really has shot him in the foot. It's been rough for him all
Yeah,
season. USC came in as one of the most highly touted. They're gonna do something crazy.
They've had
And
them projected to go to the championship.
they just ain't done anything. They got beat by Colorado. I mean,
Finished the season unranked. I mean, they won their bowl game, but they still finished the season unranked. That's for a team that was projected to be a national champion and go unranked. That's a big difference.
and you go from winning a Heisman to really, he didn't do anything this year. Like,
No,
I mean,
that was-
early in the season he had some 6 touchdown games, but man, towards the end of the season, and then he opts out when really you're not the guaranteed number one anymore. Penix has absolutely exploded. Jaden Daniels has absolutely exploded. Bo Nix has exploded. There's just plenty of quarterbacks you can take over a Caleb Williams that have a better build for the NFL. I mean, Caleb Williams ain't got the greatest build for an NFL. Like Bo Nix is a 6'5", just absolute unit of a quarterback. I know he's a little older, but I don't know. Caleb Williams, man, I don't know if he's the first quarterback off the board anymore.
I agree, man. There's too
I
much
could even
talent.
see him. I could see him going behind all those quarterbacks that who has gotten substantially better over this year.
At
Yeah.
this point, I could truly see him dropping out of the first round.
While we on this subject, we'll move into this game, the Washington and Texas. My prediction as the first quarterback taken off the board, Mr. Penix. That
He
boy
was
showed up to fucking play football. I mean, he has the arm like Joe Milton, but has the accuracy that only Joe Milton had ever thought of having. You know, he can throw it 70 yards and it's on a dime. You know, I've never seen a left-handed quarterback with that good of accuracy. I've never seen it. You know, Tua couldn't touch him. I mean, what are we thinking on the Washington Texas game? You know, I was surprised, but at the same time, I wasn't.
Well, as everybody remembers, probably I said Texas and Alabama was going to play in the national championship. It's looking like a bit of a rough take now. One thing that really kind of bothered me about the whole ordeal about that game is, I don't know if y'all seen, but they had their little media day right before the game where they come and talk to the players and stuff. And you can see Quinn Ewers just sitting there at his little booth. Nobody's around him. No media personalities are near him. And then you look over and Arch Manning, who ain't played, ain't done anything, just because he's a Manning, had people everywhere. And it bothered me because Quinn Ewers has showed out this season. He could probably go over Caleb Williams if he does decide to go in the draft. I know it was said he declared, and now it's more he could come back for a senior season. I think, like, I don't know how you could hate on Quinn Ewers. He did great against Washington. I didn't really expect, because you know the Pac there is no defense. So I thought which Big 12, let's be real, they don't have defense either. But I thought their defense would be better than a Pac. But Penix came out 400 some yards, 2 touchdowns, showed why he was in the MVP or in the Heisman race. And really, other than the final score, they dominated. I know it came down to that last catch in the end zone. You could call it pass interference if you want. The corner did have his arm wrapped around that. I don't remember who it was. In the back of the end zone on that last kind of toss-up play. It was more of a jump ball kind of situation. Quinn Ewers put it in his hands. The corner made a great play on the ball. But yeah, I was really surprised with how the game ended. I figured Penix would have a good game because I mean, he's played well all season. but I didn't expect it to be to that magnitude. And now I have a more interesting question: is will they have the same outcome with an actual Big Ten solid defense? Because Michigan has the best
Yeah.
defense in the Big Ten, and obviously comparing Big Ten to Pac-12 and Big 12 defenses is a little different. I mean, they just played Alabama. We all seen what Michigan did with Alabama. Honestly, Alabama's offense looked horrendous. So, can Penix get it? This will be a real testament on where Penix goes in the draft. Because if he comes out and balls out on Michigan,
Yeah.
I have no doubt he could go number one. No doubt he could be the first quarterback off the board. I'm not saying number one pick because Chicago's got the number one pick, and we know how I feel about that. So, will Washington be able to, keep up with Michigan, who has a pretty good offense? Can they stop Corum? Probably
Dude,
not.
Corum is a stud.
He's an absolute unit. What do you think?
I'm big on, I think Penix is the best option here, but, Washington's defense can't go into the game taking Michigan's offense lightly. I mean, J.J. McCarthy is an absolute unit. I'm not saying that he's on the level that Penix is, because he's not. He's not on Penix's level at all. But you can't sleep on J.J. McCarthy because he's led this team to an undefeated season with, 3 different coaches? I mean, no matter
Jim
what's been
Harbaugh.
thrown at him, he's made it happen.
Jim Harbaugh did come out and say he thinks McCarthy is the greatest quarterback to ever quarterback at Michigan.
Well, I mean,
So.
if we're going off college, yeah, but I mean, if we're going off of a whole career, Tom Brady's there. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like just in college, right.
Which
Yeah.
Tom Brady had solid stats too in college.
Yeah.
When he played.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if unpopular opinion or not, but I kind of see McCarthy as one of those game managers that Cam Newton was talking about, kind of like a Brock Purdy.
No, like a Brock Purdy.
Unless the system, because honestly, without Blake Corum, I don't think that offense is anything. Blake
Corum is
has
him.
scored touchdowns on top of touchdowns this season.
I think he's got 24.
Yeah, he's absolutely dominated. I mean, there's multiple games he's had 2+ touchdowns, sometimes 3. So, is McCarthy, like last year, we say McCarthy was not good. He did not play well. He almost got benched. And then this year, you got Corum, who just took over the offense. So can McCarthy get it done on a Washington defense? I know Washington's defense ain't that great, but McCarthy, which he did play well against Alabama, and we know Alabama has a good defense every year. So,
Right.
kind of a toss-up in my opinion.
I'm expecting a shootout, like a true, like
I'm taking
expecting a
Corum for 2+
shootout.
touchdowns.
even with, I get that Michigan's defense is good, but the way I see it, if Jalen Milroe can put up the numbers that he put up against their defense, sky's the limits for Penix.
But the points didn't add up to the stats they put up. 20 points,
But
13 until the 4th.
what
Man.
killed Michigan though was special teams. They had two
They
muffles,
dropped a punt on the 1-yard line that almost cost them a safety and cost
And
them
they-
a game.
and they dropped another one earlier in the game, right?
And the
Yeah.
nuts on Harbaugh to kneel on his own half-yard line. I mean, that man's testicles was dropped to his knees during that, man. There's no way I would have ever attempted that. That's some crazy shit. Literally had 2 guys pushing McCarthy back up to make sure he didn't kneel in the end zone. No. But that was crazy.
I think 2 games, both of them were just exactly what the playoffs needed to be. I have to agree with the decisions that were made by the committee to put those teams in, because we haven't seen 4 games or 2 games like that good,
Right.
and since the playoffs started almost.
See, here's my unpopular opinion. Since they went with this 14 playoff, I think it's cool. I can't wait for them to expand. But the whole time they've done this 14 playoff shit, they should have had the 2 losers play each other too. give them another game. If you made it that far as well as the other two teams did, let you two play each other, kind of have like a consolation bracket sort of. I think that should have been done the whole
That's
time.
a good idea.
But we're going to what is it 16 next year? No, it's 18 next year, ain't it?
It would give another bowl game that people might actually watch.
Exactly. That people
'Cause
won't opt out
honestly,
of.
That's my biggest problem with. Like, I love the playoffs. I think it's
Yeah.
needed to be a thing for a long time. But bowl games, man, with the transfer portal
And the NIL and all
and
that
NIL,
shit.
nobody's playing anymore.
Bowl games used to be like my favorite time of year.
Hold on.
Like I
I've
couldn't
seen
wait.
this stat. So I know we're going to talk about this later. The Georgia, Florida State, obviously. Florida State
It's actually the
had
next on the list.
23 players sit out in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying they would have kept it close. I mean, I don't know.
I get
But-
why they opted out though. Like I understand
I
their
mean,
case.
I get it. You got screwed. I wholeheartedly, I'm cool with it. But 23 players sitting out, that ruins the bowl game. I mean, why would you watch that game? When Georgia had nobody sit out. I mean, you can say Brock Bowers, but he was hurt. He didn't sit out because he didn't want to play. Like, they had no starters sit out. And Florida State had 23 players, multiple starters sit out. Obviously, they're missing their first string and their second string quarterback. They played with a freshman. It's just, I had that game on, and it quickly got bad. Like, you could tell that it was bad.
I think
They
we sat
couldn't-
here and watched it for,
We watched
and then we
it.
went and go 8, and then we watched while we ate, and then by the time we left, I mean it was done.
They had 40 points on them by the time. Like, I mean,
And even second string was dominating them as well.
because you're playing third stringers.
Yeah, I mean they was
think
basically
it
playing a bunch
ruins-
of freshmen.
It ruins the bowl season. Like, back in the day, it used to be like bowl season. Nobody used to sit out. You might have like the first overall pick sit out, maybe someone that was projected to be the first overall pick. But like now, I mean, if you're not, there's people that like fifth rounders, like Milton. He's not going to be a first overall, second overall, possibly not even third overall selection. And he sets out. Now, I like it because Nico got to play, but I just don't understand.
I don't get it.
It's ruining bowls. At this point, you might as well just kill the bowls and only have a playoff.
The NIL, it's got its goods and it's got its bads, and this is one of the bads, man. And it's so sad to see because like bowl season used to be like the biggest time of year. I mean,
It was great.
some
Yeah,
people
there
thought
was
of that
great
better
hype.
than a Super Bowl. I mean, they'd rather watch
Great.
all the college football. Hell,
If your team made it,
yeah,
there you
back in
go.
the day, I mean, I would watch fucking Ohio and Kent State play each other just because it was a bowl game. You get right around Christmas time, you wake up on a cold Saturday morning, you don't want to go outside. Ohio and Toledo's playing for the fucking Cheez-It
Cheez-It
Bowl.
Bowl.
Yeah, roll it. Let's watch this shit.
Yeah, there was more of a meaning to the bowl game.
Exactly.
yeah. Now
Yeah.
there's just nothing.
That was your last chance to prove yourself before hitting a draft.
That's why I believe with the NIL, there needs to be some stipulations around bowl time.
I agree.
Because bowl season makes these schools money. That's how they pay you your NIL deals.
Yep.
That if these stadiums that host this, that's how they make money. And if you're going to continue down this path of paying these players, and then every single one of them sit out come bowl time,
You're gonna lose all your balls.
you're going to lose all your NIL deals.
Yeah.
You're going to
Especially
lose all
like
your bowls.
like the Cheez-It Bowl the Tennessee played in is played at Campaign Stadium in Orlando. That game is only used for the Pro Bowl NFL and the Cheez-It Bowl. That's the only revenue that stadium, I mean, they play like soccer and shit there too, but I mean, it's, who in the hell in Florida goes and watch soccer?
Well, I can tell you right now, Duke Mayo Bowl was hosted in Bank of America Stadium. That's the most money that stadium's made all season because I haven't seen nobody go to a Carolina game this year.
Probably the last 2 seasons.
yeah. So, like these bowl seasons, these bowl games, you got to stop sitting people out, man. You got to quit quitting on your team. Because if I'm an NFL organization and I see Drake May sat out in that, does that make you a leader or does that make you someone that only cares about yourself? Because in my opinion, it looks like you only care about yourself, and I don't know if I want to spend my draft pick on you. Now, if you go out there like someone like with Georgia who had everyone play, no one sat out, that's the kind of people I would look to draft. I wouldn't look to draft a Jaden Daniels that would sit out. I know he was also hurt, but or was he hurt? Did he just
He wasn't
decide?
hurt. He was kind of fumbled up. I wouldn't say hurt. He didn't want to injure himself to the point to where it could be something bad. And
Yeah.
I get his case.
So I can kind of get
Yeah.
that if you're like Brock Bowers, who actually was hurt, and if you go in this game and play on your injury and get hurt for really no
Yeah.
reason. I mean,
If you're like one torn ligament away from ending your career,
Yeah.
don't play.
no, I mean, I'm cool with that, but someone like a Milton, I'm sorry to keep coming back to your quarterback, but you're not a leader. You quit on your team.
Well, see, the thing with Milton is he claims that sort of the reason he set out was because he wanted to show everybody. He's claimed that he's been Nico's mentor all season, and he wanted to show the future in Knoxville. He said, "My time at Tennessee's over. I want to show y'all what Nico can do." From what I understand, his decision to set out was strictly, him and Nico. I reckon they're like this, and he wanted to let him have his time to shine.
He should have sat out every fucking season, every game
Dang.
of the season.
True, but dang, you just let me poop on a guy that and I actually kind of respect that. All right, well, let me throw another one in there. Caleb Williams, bum, not a leader, proved it all season. Quit sitting out of bowl games.
Yeah. So it's just ruined the reputation of the bowl.
It is. I mean, and honestly, it just makes you look bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, are you going to come in the NFL and because you're not making the playoffs, you're going to sit out the rest of the games?
So we will move in to give us a score prediction on the national championship. Well, let's hear it. Washington, Michigan. It's going to be a big game. I can't wait for Monday night. What are we feeling there?
My predictions have not been well here lately. So
Neither is mine.
I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb, say Big 10 beats Pac-12. I'm going to give it to Michigan, and I'm going to say I'm not going to go crazy shootout because I do think both of these teams can be stopped. I'm going to go with a 30-24 game. Michigan wins.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm going to just put in a tad more points. I'm going to say like a 35-38 Michigan. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be flopped and it be Washington. But I'm sticking with Michigan, man. I think they've proved themselves all year. I'm going with Michigan. I think this is their year.
Yeah, Michigan absolutely proved me wrong by beating Alabama. That
Surprised
defensive
me.
line,
surprised me.
absolutely decimated Alabama's offensive line.
It tore
6
Milrow out of pieces.
sacks. 6 sacks on Milrow, which is absolutely absurd. But I'm gonna agree with y'all. I'm gonna keep it in that 30 window. I'm gonna say 35-31 Michigan. I think Harbaugh deserves to have a ring. I've always liked Harbaugh, both Harbaugh brothers.
I get the whole controversy in Michigan, and the thing is, I shouldn't like Harbaugh, but I do.
I'm actually okay. If Michigan wins this national championship, we know Harbaugh's probably going to tuck tail and go NFL, right? Do you think this is going to be one of those seasons like an Auburn with Cam Newton where they strip this title and no one has the title? And that's one of the reasons I think Harbaugh is going to leave soon.
Bro.
Because they're going to have repercussions from this season.
Yeah, I mean, they fucked Tennessee over last year. They're the reason that Tennessee lost to South Carolina. They literally sold our playbook to South Carolina. So I shouldn't like Harbaugh, but being a Ravens fan, being a big Jim fan, or John Harbaugh fan, it's one of those things that I don't hate the guy for the situation, but, cheating's cheating.
Well, my thing is every team does this. They just got caught.
Exactly.
And kind of done it in a poor way, paying some outside guy that isn't even affiliated with your team to go watch these games. Because I mean, everyone scouts. Yeah, how do you get film? You can learn everything you need on film. But do you think this is going to be one of them death seasons where no one has a national championship within the next 5 years? Because the NCAA loves to give out punishment.
Right.
And I think once Harbaugh leaves, because I think he's going to tuck tail and run. He knows that he's fixing to get in trouble. I mean, that 3-game suspension was just a warning. Like, hey, brother, you are caught. We're going to let you finish out the season because it's making us money. But after he leaves and after this championship is gone and you can't make no more money off of it, is the death penalty a possibility?
I say they do, because after they gave him that 3-game penalty and he goes over here and he wins the championship, they're like, fuck. Whoa.
It kind of paints you in a bad light in a way.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know if they're still cheating. Like, they could have already got signals from these teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure they would in Alabama and maybe not Washington because this kind of came out of nowhere. But you definitely think someone was watching an Alabama game.
All they did by only giving them 3 games is give Harbaugh and the rest of the crew more time to figure out how they can do it and not get caught next time. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think he's tuck-tailing and running.
But
Which Nick Saban said on Pat McAfee show that they used to do the same exact thing in the NFL back before they had the.
You mean Nick Saban's like whole 1 season at Miami?
He was there for 2.
I mean, it's a thing like the NCAA's outdated. Quit doing these stupid hand signals. It's 2024. Bring in headsets and earpieces in your quarterback's
You don't
ear.
like the big thing that Tennessee holds up?
I mean, it's great. Yeehaw. But, I mean, golly, Lillian could go out there and figure out your play calls.
Yeah.
Well, you got 3 quarterbacks out there. Some of them are doing this stuff. Like, I mean, he's not giving a play call. Maybe look for the one that's actually giving some hand signals. Like, I mean, it's not hard. And in the NFL, all you got to do is cover your mouth. Yeah. No one's ever going to figure out what you're calling.
No, because you're talking to a microphone.
I think that they should be.
I think that NCAA makes enough money to supply these things.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Especially you could even put someone up in the box up top to give the play calls. I mean, there's so many ways to stop this, and this should be a wake up call for the NCAA. Like, maybe we are outdated, and we should stop sitting there playing with each other and just put some headphones on, put a mic in your ear, and call your plays that way, because it gets loud anyway. I don't know. It's just.
I'm
open it up for people to do that when you sit here and do these hand signals.
Yeah.
Like, it's not his fault that he's smarter than you and copied your plays.
I'm a backtrack real quick back to the Alabama and Michigan game. Whoever that play caller is, 2-yard line QB sneak
on 4th down.
I mean, it was as bad as Pete Carroll calling a damn slant route in the Super Bowl.
Also, you got to take into fact it was a bad snap.
Right.
There was a bad snap. That might not have been what they were planning on doing because it looked like the guard pulled. So it looked like he was supposed to go left. But with the bad snap and your guard's pulling, it took him an extra second to get going. And at that point, there was 3 defensive linemen on top of him. Which even then, run pass option. Why in the world would you call a designed run on 4th down in your playoff game to go to the national championship?
Yeah, with the game on the line.
Game on the line, and you take a quarterback draw up the middle, which I don't think it was supposed to be up the middle. I'm pretty sure he was supposed to go left, but with a bad snap. But run play option or run pass option, he could have jumped up and threw the Tim Tebow pass or anything better than just running up the middle and getting nothing. I mean, terrible play call after you had just dialed up a great drive to actually send it into overtime.
On that note,
is Saban done?
Yeah.
Really? Like, is he done?
we're going to move into the NFL. Talk a little bit about the controversy in Dallas between the Lions and the Cowboys, man. What a touchy subject right now, especially for a Lions fan.
Even you know who.
Yeah. Man, here you can't blame that on James,
No, you can't.
I sit
You
here and
can't.
just watch the Twitter feed just blow up on James Mitchell.
There was
He
some
dropped the
funny ones
pass.
in
He
there.
dropped the
There was
pass.
funny-
But, dude, Goff hit him at the knees. Expect him to not only catch it, but manage to catch it, turn himself around, and force himself to the end zone on those two defenders.
With a defender right at his hip,
I
too.
truly don't think if he catches that pass, he gets in the end zone. I wish he would have caught the pass just so everybody could shut up.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
If
really,
it would have
that
hit him
was
in the chest, probably that was a successful 2-point
Yeah,
try.
because that was a
maybe.
very bad ball.
Yeah. Which I get
'Cause
Goff was
that-
rolling off back foot and everything,
Yeah.
but still.
that defensive player that was on his hip, he was behind him. You make one move, reach out, you're in the end zone. But I mean, bad pass. In my opinion, should have never came down to it.
No.
They got hoed.
No.
And the problem is, the NFL even admits that they hoed them.
Oh, yeah. Those
everybody's
refs
saying-
are suspended. They can't coach the playoffs.
They got
They can't ref the
suspended.
playoffs.
So the NFL knows that they made the wrong call. It's anyone in the world with a TV that's not a Dallas Cowboys fan would be pissed if this happened to them. Because you see 68 go out there on video. He's talking to him. I know they sent 70 to kind of throw him off, but that's not their problem. They
sent the
told
right guy
him-
to talk to the ref.
the right guy
Goff
was in your
even
face.
looked at him in the huddle and said, "Go report."
And the worst part about it is Dan Campbell told them this exact play was coming if the game was on the line. And they still botched it. I don't know if it was rigged. I don't know if they were gambling on the game. I don't know what was happening. But ridiculous. And you don't even know if Detroit wins if they get this 2-point conversion. Because Dallas has 23 seconds, 3 timeouts. And they had just moved the ball down the field, scored a touchdown in a minute and 30 seconds with no timeouts.
Yeah,
So-
then you just have to go off of a shitty call by a ref.
Terrible call, and all I've seen is, well, Dan Campbell's an idiot for just kick the field goal and go in overtime. No, that makes football fun. That's what football was meant to be. It was great for the game. I haven't seen 2-point conversion attempts in years, and he did it 3 times, not once, not twice, 3.
Backed
Scored
up
on
5
one of
yards
them.
and still went for it.
Still went for it. I mean, balls laying on the table, brother. He did not care, and it was great for the sport. Great head coach. Great first play call. Even the third play call could have been good had the pass been up. I'm not 100% sure he would have got in. I'm not saying that he would have. But, I don't know.
Social
I
media
did
manager joining the chat here.
Yeah.
I do think that the referees have got to stop dictating games. I do think that was a poor call. I just wish James would have caught the pass so we could quit hearing about it. Because
Yeah.
honestly, at this point, he could be on his way out of Detroit.
Yeah, I'm tired of him
Because
getting the
I've seen
backlash.
the fans losing their mind because he had a holding call earlier that brought back a pretty significant run.
34
which is
yards, I
very good.
believe.
Yeah.
But, you
But-
know, it's one of those things that he's been the run blocking tight end all year.
He
You know,
has been a great run blocking tight end all year.
everybody makes mistakes, man. You're going to hold 2 mistakes that he's made all year over his head. Like, come on. And everybody acting, on Twitter, who's James Mitchell? Who's James Mitchell? He's the motherfucker who's been blocking for you so Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery could get the yards they've had all season. Is who James Mitchell is. You might not notice it, but, it's the same situation as an offensive lineman. You don't know them by name because you don't pay much attention to them, but they're the guys there to let your guys shine. James might not be the receiving tight end that he was at Virginia Tech, but he sure the hell is the blocking.
Yeah, he might not be making big plays here and there, but he's doing the small things that counts.
Exactly.
That's helping the big plays happen.
Exactly. Exactly. So we'll wrap up on that. We all know how we feel on that. Has Lamar pretty much all but confirmed that he is the MVP for this year?
I'm not saying he's confirmed it because I have a hard time believing he's going to play on Sunday. But also at the same time, I doubt the second in the Heisman race in McCaffrey is going to play. So probably
Heisman race?
MVP, whatever. Uh, I'm still on the Christian McCaffrey bandwagon. I still think he should be the MVP, but I do think that
He'll get
Lamar at this
Offensive Player of
point,
the Year.
yeah, I mean, he will.
It's just
He
very
should.
unfortunate that
it's a
the
QB.
MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's
You
a
might as well
QB
name the
award.
award QB of the Year. I mean, at this
Yeah.
point,
Well, it's one of those things with how do you really like? I mean, how do you really stack it up against each other? Because McCaffrey has 2,000 all-purpose yards and 20 touchdowns, but then Lamar, he has what, 4-something thousand all-purpose
he's
yards.
4,400, 42, 4,400 all purpose.
Yeah, so like obviously a quarterback's just going to get more stats than a running back.
And the
'Cause
big thing was that Lamar didn't have the touchdowns. 5 over Miami. I mean, that kind of put him in the driver's seat. I feel like. I think regardless if he plays Sunday, he's pretty much got it all in the bag. As long as regular season Lamar shows up for the playoffs, regular season Lamar and postseason Lamar is kind of like primetime Kirk and 1 o'clock game Kirk. It's a totally different level.
He has yet to make it out of the divisional round.
Yeah.
And we know McCaffrey's just going to keep the train rolling.
Yep.
So
Honestly, hopefully they meet in the Super Bowl because I think it'll be a great game.
we'll move on into the Colts and Texans game. Obviously, whoever wins it goes to the playoffs. Whoever don't wins it, they'll be sent at the house. Do we think C.J. Stroud's got it to, rookie season takes his Texans to the playoffs, or do you think the Colts come out on top?
It's pretty obvious. C.J. Stroud is going to lead that Texans team to a playoff. He's been great all season. He got injured for a couple of weeks. He came back this week, did absolutely. He did phenomenal. So I don't see him no stopping this upcoming week.
No, man. Stroud he's the guy. I'm sure they beat the Colts this week and make it to the playoffs. I don't know if they make it past the wild card, divisional at the most, because they still got to fill some gaps on that team. There's a lot that team needs, but so far they've taken the right direction. Will Anderson, stud. C.J. Stroud, stud. Fill a few more holes.
Nico,
Yeah,
stud.
yeah. Fill a few more
Tank.
holes.
Stud.
Man, I can't believe there was a fantasy draft I was in with the guys at work, and I took Nico like third round in the draft, and everybody's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Nico showed, man. Like that boy's a monster.
I still do think they need a true number one receiver, though. I don't think neither Nico or Tank's a number one receiver.
Man, I don't know. I'm a big Nico guy.
Nico's great, but I don't see him as a true number one.
They got to get a run game in there, man. I mean, I get they got a couple decent running backs, but
Damian Pierce has been quiet this year.
yeah, and what they got him and boy from the Bills. But
Singletary.
yeah, you've not. You need a good running back in there, and that might be like a Blake Corum team right there. Honestly,
Honestly, a Blake Corum to the Texans would be something special.
it's one of those things, man, where you can grab a solid running back third or fourth round now because there's so much talent out there at running back.
After last year's draft, though, can you? Because Bijan and Jameer both went way earlier than I thought.
But I mean, it's one of those things. But I do think that the Texans win. I'm not sure how far they make it, but I'm confident.
Stroud
that they can
Magic,
win.
man, that'd be crazy if a rookie takes his team to the Super Bowl.
Would be
But
crazy.
yeah, I don't think they have the pieces yet. I do think their secondary's weak.
No.
I think their linebackers are kind of weak. I mean, Will Anderson is doing a lot for that defense. Go ahead.
Sorry. They're also missing Tank Dell, which was
Yeah.
he was having a damn good season until he got injured as well. I think that was his go-to target, if I'm not mistaken.
This man over here drinking a jug of apple juice.
Yeah, he had a rough weekend.
Moving on, we'll go over some just really predictions on winners for the week, and then we're closing in on near 50 minutes, so I think this will about close us out after we go over the score predictions. Start with the Ravens and Steelers. That's one of those things, man. More likely the Ravens are going to bench. Steelers are playing for a playoff spot.
I do think since Pittsburgh is playing for a playoff spot, I think the Ravens might come out and play with everything they got. Because do you want to meet the Steelers in the playoffs? It's always a rivalry game. It's always close. So I could see Baltimore coming out with all of their starters, Lamar playing as well. Or at least play the first half to see how it's going.
Right.
But I can also see Pittsburgh somehow pulling this off. Now, will Trubisky get it done?
No,
Or
Trubisky ain't
not
playing
Trubisky,
Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph. Yeah. Will Rudolph get it done? You never know.
He's been on a hot
And
streak.
do they want to risk a Lamar injury? Because Lamar is prone to injuries, and he hasn't had his big injury yet. So I think that one's a toss-up. It's a rivalry game. They're always a toss-up. I don't think Baltimore's going to steamroll them, but I do think Baltimore comes out with a win, just for pride's sake, in my opinion.
Yeah, because what's the Steelers? Damn, what's the Steelers record?
I want to say
9-8?
they're 9-7 right now. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, they're 9-7.
Yeah, they're 9-7 right now. So this will make them a 10-win season. The thing is, man, that they've already beat Baltimore once this year. It's one of those things, man, that there's so many Steelers fans around, and I know of like 3 Ravens fans in like the whole entire town. So, those Steeler fans, get the win over the Ravens. They could be 0-15, but if they beat the Ravens, they get rock hard to that shit. So.
Well, we also heard Stairway to 7 for 15 years, and it never happened as well. So.
All right. So it's one of those things. I would love to see the Ravens play the starters, dominate the fucking Steelers, send them home packing, shut them the fuck up. I'm tired of hearing about how great Mason Rudolph is. Yeah. His highlight of his career was getting smacked across the fucking face by Myles Garrett. So that truly made my year. I wish Myles Garrett would do it again. It don't even have to be on the football field. Just come up to him and the fucking Cleveland Mall and just helmet his ass side the fucking head. I can't stand Mason Rudolph. So I think I hate him worse than Big Ben. But we've already covered the Texans and Colts game. We'll go into the Falcons and Saints game. Whew, what a barn burner, boys. Don't hold back your emotions on this one.
This is for a playoff spot.
I'm going to take the Saints in it, man. Derek Carr ain't the greatest thing in the world, but
he's better than Desmond Ridder.
He's a mid-tier quarterback. I mean, he's a mid-tier. He's a Kirk Cousins.
It's unfortunate too, because I really liked him out there, and when he played with the Raiders. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think the Saints win. The Falcons, coaching's terrible. Desmond Ridder's not it.
Could we see a Jim Harbaugh replace Arthur Smith next year?
I think Harbaugh's, if he goes anywhere, it's going to be the Chargers. He likes that California dream and shit, and that's his perfect chance to go back to Cali.
And he gets to start right off with a superstar quarterback, too.
And let me tell you, man, Harbaugh, he can develop a quarterback. He showed it with Alex Smith and even Kaepernick.
Carolina, though.
But I see him going.
I don't think you can get Coach Turner to go to fucking Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting salary at $22,000 a year, and unlimited access to the local Wawa. That just really don't cut it out for a good coaching contract. I know that's all they can afford down there in Carolina, but so We'll move into the Jags and Titans game.
Jags blow them out of the water.
Yeah, I think the Jags
I
take
agree.
it.
The Titans might be. They are not good. Not good at all.
A very disappointing season for the Titans.
I mean, how long can you ride on a 30-year-old bruiser running back?
They got a lot of gaps to fill.
Yeah, a lot. They need to rebuild now. There's the issue with them is they don't believe they need a rebuild yet, so they're behind on their rebuild. But
They wouldn't need to rebuild if they'd have kept A.J. Brown.
probably not. I mean, give Levis someone to throw to because his number one option is Traylon.
They got D-Hop.
Yeah, I guess you do got D-Hop.
He's on the damn.
He's falling.
Yeah, he's on the backside of his career.
He's getting up there in age too.
What about on the Vikings and Lions game? I think the Lions hard bounce back.
No, yeah, they're gonna come
They
back.
ain't even got to bounce back. They
Right.
won, in my opinion.
I mean, they're going to the playoffs, but yeah.
But they're gonna be pissed off about the decision in Dallas, and they're probably going to absolutely stump a mud hole.
I
in
do
Vikings.
think that Dallas game kind of exposes Goff a little bit, though, because he did not play well in that game.
No. He had 2 interceptions.
He threw that pick that if he don't throw that pick there, it doesn't come down to that 2-point conversion. You're driving and he throws a pick with 3 minutes left, which Dallas then turns around and wastes a drive. But I do think Goff is exposed a little bit right now, and now I'm starting to question on whether Goff can get it done or not.
Man, I'll never question Jared Goff. I'll never question Goff.
Which we know he's not an elite quarterback. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's a good quarterback at the best.
We'll move in. Now, here's another barn burner, boys. Stay hot in your seat on this one. Lock your seatbelt in. Jets and Patriots.
It's the Jets.
Damn, this is fucking.
It's the Jets.
This is peanut football versus the damn MECC freaking Red Foxes.
Yeah. I think the Jets take this. Yeah, obviously. I mean, Bailey Zappi, horrendous. Mac Jones, horrendous. I mean, hell, it's so
they're
bad.
both having quarterback issues.
Yeah. Dude, it's so bad in New England that Bill's about to strap up and go out there and play.
Yeah, if I'm New England, I'm losing. Just lose the game.
Get your draft pick.
Yeah, get yourself a better draft pick.
Because, oh my gosh, can I not find... I mean, New England might have some of the worst quarterback troubles I've ever seen. You cannot find a quarterback out there, and honestly...
These guys shouldn't be in the NFL. They're going...
Well, they trade down every year.
Yeah.
It's...
Like I said, Christian Gonzalez last year, other than being injured, he studded out.
That's all Bill Belichick has ever done is take defense.
Hey, man. Cole Strange. Cole Strange.
When Brady was there, every time they won a Super Bowl, there's a reason he won that Super Bowl, and it's having a top 10 defense every year.
Yeah.
Belichick is very defensive-minded, and he thinks, oh, well, I'll just find a Tom Brady sometime down the line. Well, you're not going to do that with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. I mean, please just take a quarterback this year that's not Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones. The Mac Jones trial is done. He's finished. He's not good. He's terrible. I mean, if Mac Jones was in New York Jets, he'd already be benched. Because, I mean, that's just Zach Wilson in a Patriots jersey. They're both terrible. Get rid of them. Their trial is done. It's not going to work. Draft somebody else.
Yeah.
And just like I said on Thursday, I think Bill doesn't need to be a GM. He just needs to be strictly a head coach.
Right.
But if you fire him as a GM,
he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
We're coming into the hour marks. We're going to speed it up just a hair. We'll go Buck and Panthers once again. Strap your seatbelts on this one.
Bucks.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Bucks.
Yeah, I think the Bucks.
I think Baker bounces back after the loss last week. Yeah, I'm not taking Carolina. I'll tell you that.
We'll go Browns and Bengals. Now that one, I think Flacco.
I'm taking Browns. They already clinched a playoff spot. I'm taking Browns.
Yeah, same.
Here's another one, man. Strap on that seatbelt again. We got some barn burners this week. Seahawks and Cardinals.
Damn. Gosh.
Cardinals coming off a giant win against Philly.
I'm still taking the Seahawks.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Kyler, man, I'm telling you, he might be the real deal.
Give me Geno on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Geno too. West Virginia native. You got to go with Geno.
Here's the game that, they're not playing for anything, really, but I want to watch this game personally. Bears and Packers.
Bears. I'm taking Bears.
So I think Green Bay has to win this game to go to the playoffs.
I don't think they can make it, can they?
Yes, they. So it was up to Vikings had to win out for the remainder of the season, then Green Bay had to win out for the remainder of the season. So if they win this, they go to the playoffs. One part of me, I don't want to see Green Bay win this to get a better draft pick, but on the other hand, I do want to see Jordan Love get some playoff experience for the future.
Right.
But it's Chicago, so I can see Green Bay win like they did earlier in the season.
Right.
I'm not betting against my boy Justin Fields.
Well, they're also coming to Lambeau.
Right.
He's been on a tear here lately.
They're also coming to Lambeau.
Right. We'll dump in to the Eagles and Giants. Give me the Eagles on the bounce back.
I said that last week, but I don't know. They looked awful.
Yeah.
Philadelphia looks terrible. I don't think Jalen Hurts is as good as everybody thinks he is. I don't know, man. I can see the Giants pulling off an upset here. I can see Saquon Barkley putting 200 on them. And you know what? I'm taking Giants.
or this could also be a game where Hurts steps up and say we're still in this. Even though we don't have the first round bye, we're gonna be in the wild card now.
I don't know, man. I can see Philly benching a lot of their starters.
Yeah.
Because you're at this point, you're not playing for anything. You're playing wild card either way.
Yeah.
We'll skip over the last few. Try to keep it under this hour mark so it don't take all night to upload.
To keep it under an hour.
I know, but once you go over the hour, then your YouTube uploading and stuff just gets crazy, and I don't want to deal with that crap because it's more stress on me. We'll go Bills and Dolphins.
I'm gonna take Bills.
I'm gonna take Bills as well.
Give me Dolphins.
Ooh, I don't know, man. Dolphins kind of suck.
Yeah, but we'll close it up there for tonight. We'll be back. What is it? Is it Tuesday and Thursdays? Are we done Tuesday and Fridays? Tuesday and Thursdays?
Fridays.
Tuesday and Fridays.
Tuesdays and Fridays.
We'll be back Friday night. Remember, subscribe to the channel. We're doing jersey giveaway at 300? 300. Follow us on TikTok. Eventually, we'll be able to go live and stuff on there. Be able to do some giveaways and stuff on there. Try and get back and help out as much as we can. Just follow our socials. It was at the beginning of the video. Everything's pinned up there.
You forgot one mention.
What's that?
I didn't get any text message from any MILFs. Highly disappointed. Again, hit me up on Instagram. K_Barnett18. Please, for the love of God. I want some mommy milkers.
On that note, we will let this stream in. Be back Friday night. Another good, successful night. Video will go up as soon as the live's over with. So we'll catch y'all then. Anything y'all need to say